Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on board 88 Points Aviation Airbus A320. I just want to say thank you so much to all of you who've been subscribing and commenting on our videos, and it's just been awesome. The feedback that we've received from all of you, and the suggestions as well have been taken into consideration. So one person asked me why wouldn't I try VATSIM? So the thing is, VATSIM is awesome. It gives you a more realistic air traffic control experience, and yeah, I mean, I've tried it a few times off camera. But the problem with VATSIM is you could never really stick to a schedule. Now, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below if I am. But there's no proper schedule to the people being online in VATSIM. So if they're offline, then you're anyway going to be doing everything in Unicom, right? So what I figured was the way I do this right now is kind of sort of a Unicom anyways. So I might as well stick to this. But I am considering how I'm able to get the whole VATSIM thing set up, you know. So if we have to fly in Unicom, we can fly in Unicom. And maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to fly together, I guess, if it's on VATSIM, right? So you guys can join along with me, and we'll actually set a schedule for it. So that's coming soon. So let's see what happens, right? So today we're in our cockpit and Airbus A320. At the last time we met, we parked over here in the city of Sanaa in Yemen. We came over from Muscat International, and today we're off to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, in the previous video I think I said Doha, Qatar, but I didn't have my notes with me, so I just double checked. So leg number 3 of this Middle Eastern tour, which is also leg number 3 of a round the world tour, is going to be from here, Sanaa in Yemen, all the way on the southern tip of this of the Middle East, all the way to a centralized region, which is Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. And so we're going to be flying again, crossing that vast expanse of desert that you saw in the previous video. So you're going to be in a treat for some nice red sand dunes and stuff like that. Right now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning local time. It should be about 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. GMT or Zulu time. And temperature outside is 20 degrees. Temperature's rising, the pressure's rising. It's like 1020 right now. But yeah, I'm just very quickly gonna jump in. We're gonna get to our flight plan. I'll brief you about our flight plan, and then we're gonna come back in here, set up the cockpit, taxi out, and get going. I've been sitting here for a few minutes, and it's nice to see another fellow A320 being prepared for departure. And if this guy over here, all he does is go forwards and backwards, and he's been doing that for the last 30 minutes. If that's a job, sign me up. I mean, all you gotta do is just put the car in drive and then put the car back in reverse, and you get paid for it. Sign me up. Not a bad deal, I think, whatsoever. And yeah, looking at those gorgeous mountains in the distance, that's where we're pretty much going to be flying over. All right, enough of me blabbering here in the cockpit. Let's get into the flight planning, and let's brief our departure, and then we'll come back here and actually perform it. See you guys over at the flight ops. Alrighty, briefing time. Let's get right into this. So as always, using SimBrief today, coming over to the dispatch system, I went ahead and created this flight plan earlier, but I'll show you the parameters that I chose. So here it is: Oscar Yankee Sierra November, that's Sanaa International, over to King Khalid Airport in Riyadh, Oscar Echo Romeo Kilo. Now, looking at this flight plan, we're looking into a zero fuel weight today of about 61.094 tons. We're fully loaded today as well. We're carrying about just a little over 3 tons of cargo. We will be taking on a block fuel of 9.1 tons. So if you look at the map over here, that's where we are, right here on the southern tip of the Middle East. It's Sanaa in Yemen. All right, we're going to be taking off, heading. This is a northbound route, so we're going to be going right over this expanse of desert that you guys saw in the previous video. So we took off, and from Muscat we flew along here, and we did kind of interject into this desert here. And so now what we're doing is we're basically flying right through that same expanse all the way down to here, Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. It's a big airport. And for our alternate today, I'm gonna keep this airport here, which is in Dammam in Riyadh as well. Okay, that's Oscar Echo Delta Foxtrot. That's our alternate airport for today. So we're going to program all this into the box, and I'll show you that very shortly. Since it's a 2-hour flight, I did elect to fly at 37,000 feet. However, that can change if the general cruising altitude is. I'll see what the box tells me, and I'll choose the recommended one there. Our routing today is taking off from runway 36 from here in Sanaa. We're gonna catch the Zaber 2 Romeo, Zabi, Exabi, Zabi 2 Romeo, SID to Zabib, and then from there we are joining the Gulf 667 airway to exit at Munto, and then from Munto it's going to be the what I gather would be the Munto 1 Alpha star into Riyadh and landing on runway 33 right. But we'll see what if the weather changes along the way. We can alter this, so that's fine, no problem. And looking at our charts today, so we're parked over here. So there's the airport. We're parked here, number 14. All right. And we're gonna basically for runway 36. So what we could do is we basically come out onto the taxiway, make a left turn, go straight down to taxiway Alpha, and then once we're at the end, we can basically join onto the runway, and then away we go. And then the SID today is going to be short-term memory, forgive me, Zabib. Here we go, Zabib, which is runway 36. Okay, so basically we're referring to 10-3 Bravo, effective the 18th of June, RNAV SID for Sanaa, Yemen. Okay, so we're doing the Zabib to Romeo. This is what's going to look like in the MCDU. RNAV GNSS departure, runway 36. Transition altitude is 13,000 feet, and we've got an airport elevation of 7216. Hi. So it's a very simple SID. We take off from runway 36. We pretty much make 1 degree left turn to a waypoint called Nibal, and then Nibal we've got a altitude constraint of 9,500 feet or higher, and then we've got a maximum speed of 185 knots there. So I'm going to make sure that's programmed into the box, and then from here we pretty much become James Bond, because we're going to go 007 and then right out this way 007 degrees, pretty much 7 degrees to the right of north, on the Zabib 2 Romeo all the way to Zabib, where we've got to be at flight level 180 or higher. So yeah, we'll be playing with the we might have to play with the knobs on the FCU just to kind of you know, make sure this aircraft climbs at the rate we want it to climb and meet those constraints. But yeah, that's pretty much what the that's the departure briefing that we have for today. Very simple taxi out, very simple SID outbound, and then once I get onto the airways, settle into our cruise, we'll then put in our fix infos, draw our circles, and then start planning for the approach and landing in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. All right, guys, gonna head back to the cockpit now, and let's let's just get this flight going. Awesome. See you there. All right, got everything ready, and we're going to well, firstly I want to start the APU because we're currently running on external power. So what we're gonna do now is just do a quick APU fire test. Lights, warnings, ECAM memo, deafening sound. Yep, everything works. So let's start the APU. I do apologize for those of you who that sound might have been a little harsh. APU is coming on. Alright, starting APU. Let's go. Let's program this flight plan in. Alright, so got my trusty iPad here, and what I want to do now is just program in this route. So it's gonna be, as you can see over here, it's going to be OYSN. Actually, let's do the whole diff strip. Let's do it properly. So we're gonna start with data, aircraft status, check it's the correct aircraft, CFM 56-B4 and -5-B4, and of course our database is valid. Coming back to data, IRS monitor, all systems and nav, so that's looking good for us as well. Next thing we want to do is we're going to come back to the init page, and OYSN, that's Yemen, and we're going to put /OERK for Riyadh. Okay, and our alternate today is OEDF. All right, WPA 320 is our flight number. Cost index is 25, and I'm gonna put cruising at 370 today. Ground temperature is 20 degrees. Keeping the tropopause as is for now. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I need to come to the flight plan page, and we're going to go from the top, departures, runway 36, and Zabi to Romeo. Yep, select that. There it is, confirmed, and going to go insert. Okay, and now we've got it in the box, nicely programmed in. As you can see, it's keeping with the constraints. They're already there. It takes all this information from the database, so that's why the first thing we check is if the database is valid. All right, because if you have a valid database, then all this information is also going to be valid. All right, keep that in mind. All right, coming back to the flight plan page, from Zabip we're going over to a waypoint called no, we're jumping out on the airways. So from Zabip we're going to airways, Gulf 667, and we're going to exit at Munto, M-U-N-T-O, Munto. Put it there, and then that's pretty much the end of it, because from there we join a star. So from Munto we're pretty much entering, we'll already be in Saudi airspace by the time we get to Munto, and then from there we're expecting, let's see, we have an ILS, so let's pick an ILS for runway 33 right via the Munto 1 Alpha. So Munto 1 Alpha, there you go. All right, Munto 1 Alpha, no transitions, inserted. And check out this route. So it's basically gonna cause us to kind of do like a little zigzag thingy as we approach. That's gonna be fun. Okay, gonna insert that into the box, and as we cycle along, there's our flight plan, what we have to go through today. Zoom out, and all right, so there, turn, land. That's pretty much it. All right, coming back to the flight plan page, and then secondary flight plan, copy the active, take any waypoint, put OYSN as our new destination, and pick the runway. So we only have RNAVs for 3.6, so I'm gonna pick an RNAV for 3.6, and there we go. There's my immediate return, just in case I need to come back and something goes kaboom on the aeroplane. I can just turn around and come back and land here. All right, that's our secondary flight plan done. Fuel prediction is so what's our zero fuel weight for today? The zero fuel weight for today is, why do I not write these things down and keep them next to me? Forgive me. Uno momento. Oh, here we go. Zero fuel weight is 61,343. So coming back down here, 61.3, and that's giving us a center of gravity of 28.8. There we go. Set. All right. So now what we want to do is we come to the init Bravo page. I've already entered that. We've got a block fuel of 9.1 tons, and now you can see that our takeoff weight is 70.2 tons and the estimated landing weight is 66.1, but obviously we'll burn that off by the time we have taxied, so we're okay. We're going to be fine. In case we need to do an immediate return, we will not have an overweight situation when we're coming back. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to perform the I'm just going to do some performance calculations. I forgot to do them. And yeah, oh, by the way, look, he's moving. Check him out. He's gonna go forward and then he's gonna stop and then he's just gonna stay there. That's all he does. I mean, what an easy life this man has, seriously. And those dudes just standing there, I think their union had some kind of a disagreement or something. They've just literally been standing there for the whole time I've been doing flight preparations over here. Yeah, Microsoft Flight Sim, default traffic and default ATC. Wonderful, isn't it? Not. All right, let me do this. Let me do our speed calculations and I'll come back. All right, give me just a second. Okay, I've got the performance figures all done, punched in all the details into the EFB, and it gave me flaps 1 with a trim of down 0.1, and my flex temperature today is, actually we have no flex for today, so we're going to be doing a full toga takeoff today, and so that we're going to keep the flex empty, and when we take off we're just going to be putting full toga all the way for takeoff. And our speeds today are 147, 148 and 151. That's our speeds for today. Transition can remain. Thrust reduction, acceleration can stay the same as well. Okay, so that's pretty much the MCDU done. Flight plan on his page, performance on my page. Come back to ARC, about 10 miles, and we're going to be climbing initially to 10,000, and then that's going to be cleared. So managed, flight directors on, QNH is set, constraints are on. Again, managed, 10,000, managed, constraints all set. 3 green, gear down, all good, all systems are good to go. I guess we're pretty much set up for now. So all that remains is to do now are before cockpit preparation checklist. So gear pins and sorry, I probably need one later. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity is 9.1 tons, checked. Seat belts are on, just in case. Let's buzz them. Everyone sit down, please shut up, thank you. Alrighty, and what's next? Adders. Adders are all 3 in nav, confirmed on the data page. IRS's nav. Okay, so that's set. IRS's are nav, barrel reference 1020, once, twice, and on the standby. All good. So that's the cockpit preparation checklist completed. Going to now check the before start checklist because we're ready for it right now. So before that, one of my items to do will be to put the beacon on, disconnect the external power, and request them to disconnect external power from the ground. So yeah, the before start checklist, parking brakes, they are on, as you can see. Parking brakes are on, and Takeoff speeds and thrust setting is set in the box, and also in performance, all good. Windows and doors closed, slides are armed, and beacon on. So the before start checklist is complete. Now all that's left to do is push back. Not actually, we don't have to push from here. We're just literally going to taxi straight ahead, join this taxiway, and get going. So yeah, just going to clear all these cars from around us, and then we're going to get going. All right, see you in a bit. Alrighty, so time to start the engines. Beacons on, before start checklist is completed, so let's go ahead and do it. So starting the engine in the Airbus A320, as all of you know, is a very advanced, very complex procedure. Like, I'm not joking. it's you just come over here, you first make sure the APU bleed is on, if you're going to be using the APU bleed to start the aircraft. So APU master, APU bleed's good. So as soon as you put this into ignition start, you get the engine parameter screen down there. We've got the pressure building. Okay, so now it's as simple as literally going up and forward. We start engine number 2 first, and there we go, we got a gray box. So N2 is now being pre-spooled from the APU. It's going to pre-spool to about 22%, 23% thereabouts, and then at that point fuel starts to come in, and now you're going to see the EGT start to rise, the N1 is starting to rise, and basically once this reaches about 55-56% is when the gray box is going to disappear. And once that disappears, we're just going to check all those parameters, and then we'll know we had a good engine start. Should take around about 30 seconds for a good successful engine start, which I didn't start my timer, but as soon as this one's done, I'll show you the other one. Alright, so it's just stabilizing right now, and that click that you heard was the sound of the electrical bus system transferring over from APU over to ground. So if you bring up the electrical page, you can see right now we were AC1 and AC2 were running off the APU, but now because the engine number 2 is online, that engine generator is online as well. So that caused the AC2 bus system to transfer over to that generator, while the AC1 is still running off the APU. Alright, I'll show you what happens when we start the engine. So right now I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go up and forward, and I'm gonna start the chrono. There's the chrono over there, and in about 30 seconds all of this should happen. So watch the electrical page. Okay, I'm gonna bring up the electrical page here. So right now we're running off the APU for Gen 1, and basically that's what's going into the AC system. Goes into our TRs and transfer units, and then it basically goes into DC and then into the battery. So that's pretty much what's running the power right now. However, as the aircraft spools up, very soon you're gonna hear a click. There we go, there was the click, and as you could see, now we're running off the main generator. Okay, so that's how the bus system works in the Airbus. All right, it had a small hiccup for some reason, and now it's back again. So so now we're running off engine number 1 for AC1 and engine number 2 for AC2. The APU is still on and still generating electricity, but we're not using it. It's not tied to any of the bus systems. So that's why what we do is, as soon as we've done a successful engine start, we come here as pilot flying, we go here to normal, and then we come back up here to the APU bleed, turn it off, check if we need any anti-ice, weather conditions are good, so we don't need anti-ice, and then APU master off, and then let the APU cool down. So now the APU will start to spool down, and in about 2 minutes that's just going to disappear from that screen. Okay, and that's basically how you start the engines. Now the next thing for me to do would be to do the pilot monitoring work, which is as soon as the pilot flying flicks the switch to normal, the pilot monitoring will arm the speed brakes, make sure the rudder trim is 0 and reset, check our flap parameters, which is flaps 1 for today and down 0.1 on the trim. So gonna go flaps 1, select it, and then watch as the flaps come out. And then we're gonna go down 0.1, which is about 28.8%. So down 0.1, move this until it says down 0.1 right over there, which is about 28% on the CG as well. All right, and then we're gonna check the status page. All systems are normal. We're done with the whole startup procedure, okay, which is now a good time to do a after start checklist. So after start checklist, anti-ice not required, ECAM status is checked, all systems are normal, pitch trim is set to 28.8% or down 0.1 on the trim, and the rudder trim is neutral and 0. That's the after start checklist complete. I'm going to request taxi clearance, and then we're just going to get going. So what I want to do now is I want to do a flight control check. All right, so what we do is you simply move the joystick. So as I move the joystick, that page is going to come up automatically. All right, so if I can get it into shot, look at the screen. Okay, look at that screen over there and look at the joystick. As soon as I move it, it automatically brings up the flight control page. That's the cool thing about the Airbus. So let's go and do a flight control check. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, and neutral. Rudder checks, holding down on the rudder thing, full left, neutral, full right, and neutral. So that's the flight controls checked. And yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get the rudder radar going, and I'm gonna get the terrain radar on, and the TCAS. We're squawking my usual 2105, and we're just gonna make sure altitude reporting is on, and I'll put this to TA and RA, and I'll put that to auto and TA RA when I get closer to the runway. So for now, that's pretty much good to go. So we can also put auto brakes to max and do takeoff configuration, so we get that takeoff memo right there. So now the taxi checklist. Flight controls are checked. Flap setting is config 1+F. Radar and predictive wind shear is now on and auto. The engine mode selector is back to normal. The ECAM memo is takeoff no blue. So everything's done. Taxi checklist is complete. It's time for us to taxi out and get going. All right, so I'm just gonna get prepared for that, and then I'll get back to you when we're just about to line up at the runway. See you guys soon. Okay, time to get this show on the road, shall we? Oh, in the air rather. Okay, got the checklist complete. So cleared for taxi, taxi lights on, runway turn off on as well. And yep, gonna release the parking brake. Parking brakes released, left hand on the tiller, and we're just gonna advance very gently on the thrust levers. Okay, just a little bit of power just to creep forward, and I'm gonna join this taxiway right over here to the right. And away we go. All right, so now that we're clear of all that traffic and we're taxiing away, what we need to do now is we need to do a brake check. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to squeeze the brakes, and these pressures need to remain at 0. So squeezing the brakes, pressure 0. All right, and that is our brake check complete. So just gonna keep on taxiing all the way down. So how are you guys doing today? Good? Well, if you guys are okay, I'm okay, I guess. Well, it's been a very busy week for us over here. And by the way, for those of you who do live in the UAE, or if you're planning to visit any of the cities in the UAE, Abu Dhabi or Dubai, give us a shout. And this simulator that I fly in these videos, this is a publicly open simulator, by the way. So you can actually come and rent time in this simulator and fly with us, with me right here in this simulator. So if that's something you're interested in, and if ever you find yourself in the UAE, please go ahead and give us a shout. We'll be more than happy to welcome you into the sim and have a little flight with you. And what we do is, we as a primary business, we cater mainly to airline pilots. We're open to everybody. This is we're not like any of the other names that run in the sim business, that are where the simulators are closed off only for, I'm gonna make a right, so clear on the right, clear on the left, okay, making the turn. We're not closed off to the public. We are open to the public. So whether you are a pilot looking to come and practice very specific scenarios on the A320, or you are a cadet that's never flown the 320 before but you're about to start your type rating, then we can help you master this Airbus A320 even before you get started. It's kind of like a pre-type rating course that we do. It takes about 10 hours of training, and basically will take you from knowing nothing to being very comfortable with the Airbus 320 cockpit. And that will basically let your whole type rating experience go smoothly. So if you are in an airline and you're training and you want to practice, come on over. If you're a pilot who's got an assessment with an airline for an interview, and you need to practice engine failures, raw data, all those kind of things that an airline would subject you to during the whole interview process, come over and let us transfer our over 20 years of knowledge over to you.
A few moments later.
Alright, let's make this turn over here, squeeze in the brakes very, very gently. No traffic on the inbound, and from what I can see, there's no traffic on the runway as well. Clear left, clear right. Let's assume we're cleared for lineup, but I'm gonna wait right here. I'm gonna hold short right here, set the parking brakes for now, and do the lineup checklist. Takeoff runway is confirmed 36. TCAS can now go to TA and RA. And the PAX, we're gonna do a PAX on takeoff, so they will remain on today. Okay, so that's the lineup checklist completed, and all that's left to do now is to stow away the tray table, mount the iPad in the corner there, and away we go. So main landing lights can come on, strobes to auto, nose light to take off. Cabin crew have been informed, cabin's ready, so let's go. Let's get this aircraft in the air. Releasing the parking brakes. $10,000 on the initial, so we'll be climbing up nice and steady. Then I'll check my optimums on the progress page, and I'll just fly according to that. Alright, once again, no traffic on the ND, clear on the left, nobody's coming in for landing, nothing on the right. And we're just gonna line her up, runway 36. Alright, let's do a roll and start. Let me get her nice and centered over here. And here we go. Left hand on the side stick, a little bit of forward pressure. And we're going to go ahead and go 50% on the N1 first, and then all the way to Toga. Alright, man, Toga, SRS, nav, auto thrust blue. That's set. Takeoff thrust is set. Airspeed's alive and climbing all three sides. Slide crosswind. Okay, there's 100 knots. I can bring the side stick back to neutral now. And as we try and maintain center line, coming to the right of this, ignore that traffic. Alright, V1 and rotate. I had to stay to the right because there's stuff on the runway. Okay, climbing away. Nav. Yeah, I wasn't asking your permission. Alrighty, so nav, positive rate, gear up, and we're steady, we're stable on the flight directors, autopilot 1 on, AP1, and we're climbing away. Okay, so as we climb away, we're looking for, yep, there we go, lever climb. So that means now we come 2 clicks back, 1, 2, thrust climb, climb, auto thrust wide, alt blue, 10,000. Zoom out a little bit just to see the next waypoint. There it is right there. And as the aircraft climbs away, we're going to just basically monitor all our systems. And as we accelerate, we'll clean up, get the flaps going, and yeah, pretty much everything that should be done will be done. So it's looking good so far. Speed alt star, we've got 10,000. Let's go into the progress page very quickly, and it says the optimum altitude is 340. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to dial 340, assume that we've requested it and received it, 340, and I'm going to push, and this is going to change, going to be changed to 340 as well. So our optimum is 340, we'll be flying at 340. We've got thrust climb, climb, 340 blue, crossing 10,000 feet right now, so we can go main lights off. And yeah, actually I need to wait for the acceleration. We have a maximum speed constraint of 185, so skip that. I'm going to do all of that later because we're still maintaining 185 knots, which is on our constraint right there. And to make sure the aircraft sustains that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull and go to open climb. So now the aircraft will climb to maintain 185. It's almost like a speed mode. It's going to climb at whatever rate to maintain 185 knots until we're clear of that constraint. Then we can accelerate, because right over there is where I'm going to be able to accelerate and clean up the aircraft and go flaps up. So watching all those parameters right now, we're about 2.8 miles away from that waypoint over there, which is Nibal. And once we get past it, we don't really I don't think we're going to have any other constraints along the way. Yep, there's no speed constraints along the way in the for the next waypoint, so we'll be able to climb quickly. All right, maintaining 185 knots using open climb. We've crossed 13,000, so there's a transition flashing. So we're gonna pull and pull for standard on the standby instrument as well. So now we're detecting at 1013. We're passing Nibal, we're outbound, so now the speed constraint is not there anymore. I can go ahead and push that and manage our climb. So climb, alt blue, the aircraft now is going to accelerate, and as we accelerate, it's going to allow me to clean up on the flaps. So that's pretty much it. Now I'll just monitor everything and then climb up to my cruise and then sit there for a while. And I should have started the chrono before takeoff. I'm gonna start it now, and I'm gonna add about 5. I'll add 5 minutes to that total time. So usually we hit the chrono just before we set takeoff. In the rush of trying to film and take off, I forgot. Do forgive me. But yeah, chrono's on. And yeah, there's our S speed, so we can now go for a slat retraction. So speed checked and flaps up. Flaps up, disarm the speed brakes, outer lights go off, and now that we're over 10,000, that can go off as well. Check the weather, make sure everything's good. Seatbelt signs can go off as well. And also we can come back to airport and airport. Come to secondary flight plan, copy active, radnav. Not all of the stations are auto-tuned, and that's pretty much it. That's the takeoff. And now we're clean, we're done. Passengers can now move around, use the restrooms. Crew are gonna start preparing the meals and dishing it out. which makes me hungry. And yeah, now all I have to do is just make sure the aircraft gets to cruise safely, and then we can, once we get closer to Riyadh, we're going to be basically planning for our descent and approach. All right, so I'll get back to you when we reach our cruising altitude. Alrighty, so yeah, we're just about to reach our cruising altitude of 34,000 feet, flight level 340, and speed all star. We're leveling off, and I'm just going to make sure that stays managed as well. I actually went selected so I could climb faster, exchanging altitude, speed for altitude. So now that we're settling into our cruise, we've got Mach Alt Cruise on our FMA. We're pretty much settled in now for the flight. So what I want to do is I just want to draw some rings around the airport, and according to the flight plan, we've got 487 track miles to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take any waypoint, going to fix info Oscar Echo Romeo Kilo is the airport. I'm going to put that there, and I want to put a radius of 100 miles around it, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so now if I zoom out, you're not going to see it now, but if I go to plan mode and I come to about like 40 miles, as I cycle along, you should see, actually I'll zoom out a little bit more, see that there? I have now drawn a 100-mile circle around Riyadh, which is King Khalid International Airport, right over there. So once I get close to this blue marker here, then I'll know I'm just 100 miles away, and I can start thinking about what's the next plan of action. So that's how I use the fix info to help me out. We're currently flight level 370, got a nice little slight tailwind coming our way, helping us along, inbound to Tasmu, which is about 77 miles away, and everything's looking good. Looking at our systems, we've got all things normal. So, and yeah, it's that time of the flight now to get the coffee. And I'm just gonna order my coffee, relax, probably have a croissant, and yeah, just enjoy that view while I while I make sure this aircraft stays safe. Look at that, mountains everywhere. Like if you think it's just desert, nothing but desert, but look at the desert in itself from up here. It's got a beauty of its own. I mean, look, those sands over there are red, pure red, almost like Mars red, and over here we've got these dark black rocky mountain kind of features over here. And some of these mountains are actually as high as 9,500 feet, which is what the radar's picked up. So awesome, flying is awesome. All right, I'll get back to you when we're going to do the briefing for our descent and also for the landing. So that's coming up in a little bit. All right, so let me get back to you shortly. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Thank you. Alrighty, it's that time of the flight where we start thinking about where we're landing. So I just using ACARS, I basically got myself the weather information, expected weather information over at Riyadh Airport, which is King Khalid International Airport, and it's coming up on your screen right now. It's basically winds are 350 at 8 knots, cab okay conditions, temperatures 34 with a dew point of 12, and a QNH of 1015, no significant change reported, which is nice. All right, so the winds are actually favoring the plan that we had initially had. So what we do now is we go over to Navigraph and we put the airport ICAO in there, OERK, Oscar Echo Romeo Kilo, King Khalid International. Click on the charts, and the first thing we want to do is we want to look at the star. So we were expecting to do the Munto 1 Alpha. So the Munto 1 Alpha star would be, here we go, Munto 1 Alpha. Okay, so Munto 1 Alpha, All right, let's see what we got here. I'm referring to plate number 20-2 Alpha, effective the 19th of May. It's an RNAV star, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Munto 1 Alpha, accessible to all runways. So if we do have a runway change somewhere along the way, it still works for us, okay? So the approach starts at Munto, which is right over here. We've got an altitude constraint of flight level 220 or higher, okay? And next we want to be going 348 degrees for 25 miles to debate. We'll have a debate right over there. Flight level 160 or higher is the altitude constraint right there. And then we come over to Al-Sub, where we've got to be flight level 130 or 130 or lower. So the ceiling there is 13,000 feet, and by the time we get there, we're going to be going down into the regular atmospheric pressure, so we'll be setting the atmospheric pressure for that. And after that, it's Melmu 12,000 or higher, and then Boseb. But I think this is going to end at Melmu because the runways are right over here. So what we do then is, okay, for the Munto 1 Alpha, if we take it here, we actually go to Boseb 11,000. Okay, Boseb 11,000, fine. So we're going to go Boseb where we have to be at 11,000 or higher, which is fine. Now we come over to the approach, and we're looking to do an ILS. So runway 33 right is what we're going to be landing on, and they have an VOR, an RNP, and an ILS. So if the airport has an ILS, I'm just going to make my life easier and go with the ILS. So if we click on that, we're referring to plate number 21-4 ILS or LOC runway 33 right, and the frequency is 109.1 India Kilo India Alpha. Final approach course is 327 degrees, and the final approach fix is at 4,000 feet. And by the way, this airport has an elevation of 2,053 feet above sea level, which kind of makes sense that we have this altitude for the final approach fix. The decision height for the ILS will be 2216, and this is going to be a precision approach, so we don't have to put extra 50. We can put just 2216 in the barrow there. MSA on the western side is going to be 5,000, and on the eastern side is going to be 4,100. And the approach starts. So yeah, we are going to be coming in from somewhere around this region over here. So from Boseb, we're going to be going over to Romeo Alpha 008, 5,500 feet, descending down to 4,000 by Romeo Kilo 808, and then we start our descent, which is a 3-degree descent down to minimums of 2216. And yep, that's pretty much all it is. And in case of go around, climb on runway heading to distance 8.0 KIA. That's a waypoint, not killed in action. It's a VOR. KIA. Make right turn to Mike Alpha Tango Foxtrot 3, or above 4,000 at or above 4,300 feet. And then left turn, continue on a radial of 046 KIA to low pack and hold at 7,000. So 7,000 is the go around, the final go around altitude, or continue as described by ATC. So we'll be setting 7,000 for the go around. Yeah, that's pretty much straightforward there. Taxi. Let's have a look at the airport chart. I'm looking for the -9 plate, which is this one here. Alright, so this is the 20-9 plate for King Khalid International Airport, runway 33 right, and I guess we can come over and park here. So we'll probably try our best to exit at Gulf 4 or Gulf 5. I think realistically we'll be stopping at Gulf 5, come down onto the Romeos, and then we can park straight away. So I think that should work for us pretty well. Yeah, that's going to be the plan. And if I look at the parking stands, we could probably Romeo and Romeo. So let's take 21. All right, straight in, and then gate number 21. That's going to be where we park. So that's the plan for today as we get closer to our approach. Now coming back to the SID, I'm sorry, the star. Okay, so I want to realistically, I would like to be at flight level 220 by the time I reach Munto. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a calculation, because I'm currently sitting at flight level 340 in the cruise. So I'm going to do a calculation using the 3 to 1 rule, and I'm going to calculate exactly how far away from Munto do I want to start descending. So I'm going to go jumping back into the cockpit, and as we get closer, I'm going to do the calculation, and then we'll know exactly when we can start our descent down to flight level 220. All right, so that's all coming up very soon. Thank you so much for your attention, and you may now resume your popcorn and coffee or drinks, whatever it is you guys are doing. See you soon back in the cockpit. Alrighty. So now it's time to start preparing for the descent, and I first need to know when I need to start descending. So I use the fix info circles to help me out with this. All right, in real life, air traffic control will tell you as you approach the top of descent point, they'll tell you when you should descend and all that kind of stuff. But because I'm doing everything in a uniform type fashion, yeah. So looking at the charts, during the briefing we stated that by the time we reach Munto, we have to be at flight level 220. Okay, so right now I'm sitting at flight level 340. So bringing up a very small calculator with a person. Darn these ads, go away. Why do iPads not have a proper calculator and you have to download a third-party one? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you. Okay, so we're at 34,000 feet. I'm gonna put 34. Okay, and I want to descend down to 22,000, so I'm gonna minus 22. All right, that means I have to lose 12,000 feet. Okay, so 12,000 feet times 3 equals 36 miles. All right, so when I'm 36 miles away from Munto is when I'm gonna start my descent. So what I do is I come here, go into any waypoint, choose the fix info, and find a free page. So I've got I'll go to page 2, and I'm gonna put Munto, M-U-N-T-O, Munto. All right, double checking the spelling just to be sure. Yep, Mike Uniform November Tango Oscar, that's in there, Munto. And I want to start my descent at 36 miles. I'll give myself one more mile just in case I delay to turn the knob. 37. All right, now as we zoom out, there we go. See that little circle there? The big circle is my 100-mile radius around the airport, and the little circle is my 37-mile radius around the waypoint Munto. So as I fly along, as I see that circle come into play, I'll know it's time to start the descent. The altitude we're going to be descending down is 4,000 for the final approach fix. So what we can do now is actually, let's go ahead and program it into the box. All right, we're just going to make sure that all our constraints are in there. So I'm going to go to plan mode, constraints, and I'll probably keep about 40 miles. And what I want to do now is I'm going to come to Munto. So at Munto we have flight level 220 or higher. Okay, so which is right there. So we can just, I'm just going to make sure it's 220 so the aircraft follows that along. All right, after Munto we have a altitude constraint of flight level 160 at Dibat. So 160, and you're wondering why I'm changing it manually, is because sometimes in Microsoft Flight Simulator, if the plus is there, it doesn't really work. Now in the actual aircraft it will follow it perfectly, but in a simulator using Microsoft Flight Simulator as the base, sometimes not so great. So that's why I just prefer to put those in there. And then at ALSUB we've got flight level 130 or below, so 13,000 or lower, so that's looking good right there. I'll leave that as it is. And from ALSUB we're gonna go to Melmul, which is 12,000 or higher, so I'm just gonna put 12,000, insert. And BOSEB, finally it's BOSEB. So as you can see, BOSEB will have 11,000 or higher. I'm gonna put 11,000 there for BOSEB. No speed restrictions, so we're good over there. And what's next? Okay, so as we cycle along, you can see as it takes us over, there's BOSEB, right turn, come over there. Where now if I bring up the actual chart for the approach, which is an ILS to 33 right, yep, 5,500 and then down to 4,000. So yep, 5,500 and 4,000 are on the constraints, so that's looking good. So now that all these constraints are in there, we can comfortably just go along and let the aircraft do what it has to do. So I know that by Melmul, by Munto, I need to be flight level 220. It's got it. 160 there, 13,000 or below there. So everything's programmed in. So all I have to do now is, or when I'm ready for my descent, let me come back to this. When I come to my descent, all I'm going to do is dial in 4,000, which is the final approach fix, and push it and let it just do a managed descent all the way down. And yeah, that will make my life a lot more easier. So that's how you program, and basically the Airbus is going to help you out, but you need to give it the information, which I have. I can tell you now that this is going to be an auto brakes low approach, because looking at the charts, we have, what's that runway length we got? The runway length is a whopping 13,796 feet. So we've got plenty of runway. That's 4,205 meters for those of you who prefer meters. So I can use auto brakes low today for that landing, and that should help us to exit at about Gulf 5, which is our planned exit point. All right, so that's the approach programmed in, and we're ready more or less. What I can do now is, the last thing to do would be to, one more final thing would be to program in the other parameters, such as go to performance, next phase, and the putting in our weather information. QNH is 1015. Temperature today is 34 degrees? Yep, 34 degrees. The winds are 350 at 8 knots, and the barrel reference for our approach, I'm gonna bring up that plate one more time, for the approach will be 2216, and there's the and that's pretty much everything done. Okay, and you can see the barrel is right over there, 2216. So pretty much I've done everything that I have to do. All I can do now is just relax and enjoy the view. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys when we're about to start our descent. See you then.
More moments later.
Welcome back. All right, so we're getting close. As you can see, I've got my circles in there, very close to the 37-mile marker for Munto. So and I'm just about 132 miles away from destination track miles. So I'm getting very close to that blue marker there. So let me see. All right, it's time to dial 4,000, which is our final approach fix, and push. There we go. Mark, descent, alt magenta. It's got the constraint 220 blue, and the aircraft now is starting its descent. And basically from this point on, we're going to be following our constraints all the way down until we reach the runway. So I'm just going to keep monitoring it, that we stay on our profile, which is this little donut right over here. I'm gonna come to the progress page. I'm gonna put OERK33R for our runway, and there we go. So now checking our GPS accuracy, we've got a requirement of 2.0, we've got 0.03, high accuracy GPS primary, looking good. Flight plan, everything is done. All of our waypoints are inserted, and constraints have been double checked as well. And it's asking for more drag, so okay, you want some more drag, I can help you there. Just come over here, down, speed brake at half point, and that's going to help us catch up with the profile once again. Flight plan's done. Right nav, there is the killed in action VOR is over there. So we're gonna hard tune KIA. So now both our VORs are hard tuned. Okay, and the ILS frequency is 109.10 India Kilo India Alpha, and that is cross checked with the charts. Final approach course is 327 degrees. That is also cross checked with the charts. Progress is done. GPS primary checked, everything's good. Performance, we actually went ahead and put these in there. So we have inserted our QNH, temperature, winds, and decision height. That is already done. Fuel prediction, looking at a gross weight of 66.7 tons right now. We'll be burning that off as we get closer. So we're going to be less than 66 tons for the landing. And then finally, secondary flight plan, copy active. So if you notice, that was the hat that I did. Okay, so now I can come back to progress and just monitor the flight as we go along. We're nicely keeping with the profile, our descent profile, and we're pretty much inbound now to Munto. I can put the constraints back on as well. And you know what, as we're descending now, time for the passengers to be told to sit down and start preparing for the approach. So seatbelt signs are back on, speed brake not needed anymore, store in the speed brake, and there we go. Aircraft can now just settle in its descent and take us down towards Riyadh. So what I'd like to do now is the approach checklist. So barrel reference, since I'm going to be descending down all the way to 4,000 without any stops, I'm going to set the barrel reference right now, which is 1015. Set the same for Mr. First Officer, and make sure the same on the standby. 1015 set, 3 sides. Seatbelt signs, they're on. Minimums 2216 set. Auto brakes low is pre-selected, and engine mode selector is normal, while me, the pilot, is abnormal. But yeah, that's the approach checklist completed. All good. So yeah, off to Saudi we go. Everything is set up and ready. I'll get back to you when we're just over Boseb. And is it Boseb? What was that waypoint again? Yeah, Boseb. When we're at Boseb, I'll get back to you, because by that point we're going to be turning and joining for the final approach. So for now, I'm just going to keep monitoring that the aircraft stays on profile. And yeah, as we get closer to 15 miles, we're going to activate approach phase, arm the localizer glide slope, and then start configuring the aircraft, getting the flaps out, gear down, preparing for landing. All that coming soon. And yeah, I'll get back to you when we reach that point of the video. Alrighty, we've been descending nicely along our profile. We've reached Melmul, where we have a constraint of 12,000 feet. And as we go along, I actually put a circle of 15 miles around the airport as well, kind of give me an indication of when I should start slowing this aircraft down as well. Maintaining 12,000 for now, and now we're going to continue descending as Boseb has 11,000 feet for an altitude constraint. Now I am getting quite close. Track miles to go would be 39 track miles to go, and after that it's going to be basically starting to configure. The city of Riyadh came into view. It's actually right behind us right now as we fly slightly outbound, and we're going to be making a right-hand turn now to head towards the airport, which is right over there in the distance. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, you're gonna see it soon enough anyways. But yeah, so now all I have to do is, once I level off at 11,000, since I'm inside of the circle, I want to start preparing for the descent as soon as possible. So as soon as I pass, I'm going to start getting ready to configure this aeroplane. In fact, what I'd like to do is, just to stay sharp on all of these things, I'm going to go ahead now, and should I? 5,500 will be the descent profile. We're already at 250 knots in preparation for going below 10,000 feet. So I think I'll leave it for now. All right, relax. Hold my horses. Yeah, got the ILS screens going, and we've got the ILS information right down there as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna do my 10,000 checks and just wait for the proper time, which is when we are at 15 miles to start configuring the aircraft. We'll see how this goes. So here's Riyadh. Lovely. Look at all those houses down there. When I was a new pilot, still in flying school, I always used to wonder, like, because when I was a kid and an aeroplane flew over 10,000 feet, so 10,000 checks, lights can come on, airport, I mean constraints, seatbelt signs are on. Yeah, that's 10,000 checks complete. When I was a little kid, whenever an aeroplane flew over the house, I always used to run outside, sometimes climb the roof, and I wanted to see the aeroplane go by. That's been a habit I've had since I was a kid. To this day, I live near the airport here in Dubai, so if I see an aeroplane, I want to see it. So I always used to wonder, by the way, that's Riyadh Air Force Base right over there. I always used to wonder, I'm looking up at the aeroplane, is someone down there right now looking up at me as I fly over them? And yeah, when I became a pilot, I started thinking the opposite. You know, are there little kids like myself, you know, dreamers who wanted to be pilots when they were little, looking up at the aeroplane and wondering, what's that pilot doing, what kind of fun is he having, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I still wonder about it sometimes from time to time. Are there other people as crazy passionate about aviation as I am? I'm sure there are. So yeah, those are my thoughts usually when I'm up here. Apart from my thoughts right now of activating the approach phase so we can start slowing the aircraft down, I'm going to deploy the speed brake because I need to lose a little bit of altitude. We're now starting the turn, and what I want to do now is I'm just going to go on the vertical speed and keep the descent at about 1,000 feet a minute. VS minus 1,000 is set because I don't want the aircraft to reduce its rate of descent. I have to hit 4,000 by the time I reach that waypoint over there. So I'm going to keep the descent going, and now that I'm below the VFE for the flap, I can go ahead and engage flaps 1. All right, flaps 1 is selected. That's going to throw out some flaps, help us to start slowing down. I also want to activate the approach, arm the localizer and the glide slope, and the second autopilot. So that's Cat3 dual, autopilot 1+2, lock star. We're in the process now of capturing the localizer. All right, now as you can see, we're slightly high. So what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and do a non-standard gear down, and I'm going to increase our rate of descent to 2,000 feet a minute, and I'm going to go for flaps 2. That's hovering us very close to the overspeed, but that's okay. The gears coming out, that's going to help us. I'm going to come back and arm the speed brakes, and cabin crew be seated for landing. If I don't make it, if I don't capture the glide slope, then I'll know I have to do a go around because I actually messed up on this approach. So I'm descending at 2,000 feet a minute, and at this rate the aircraft is not slowing down even with the gear down, and also I'm not going to be able to get to that point that I need to be in time. I'm over the approach. I've messed this up. So the best thing to do now is basically I'm going to go around. I'm going to dial the go around altitude, which is 7,000, and I'm going to go ahead and initiate a go around. Waypoints Aviation 320 is going around. Missed approach. All right, go Toka. Here we go, Mantoga SRS go around track. The aircraft's gonna raise, gonna go one flap up. Okay, it's just gonna shout at me initially. Come back to lever climb, thrust climb, and we're on go around track. 7,000 checked, and we're flat positive rate, gear up and flaps up. Disarm the speed brakes, and those lights can go off. Okay, we've got open climb, and just gonna put nav. So now the aircraft is gonna follow its the aircraft is gonna follow along on the go around track. So yeah, I messed that up. So yeah, this probably gives me a good chance to show you what happens when you know, just because I'm in a simulator, just because I'm not flying this thing in real life scenario, doesn't mean that the procedures change. We keep it real, and that's what makes you know, you a good pilot. So I knew I was too high. I had busted way above my altitude, and even with my vertical speed of descent, which was quite high, and the gear down, I was not able to reduce speed and make it. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. So what I want to do now is, if I look at the ILS, the approach starts at 4,000 feet. So what I'm gonna do now is, in real life, I would obviously follow along. I would continue to follow along until there, and then get into a hold, and then ATC will vector me back to try the approach again. But since I'm with the magic of simulation, I'm just going to assume that they've cleared me to fly downwind. So the runway track is 327 degrees. What's the downwind of that? What's the opposite side of that? Use just -2 on the 3 and +2 on the 2. Okay, so it's either +2 -2 or -2 +2. That's the kind of rule we use. So 327, okay, 327 degrees minus 180 degrees gives you 137. Okay, sorry, 147. Is it? How is my bad so bad? All right, let me rephrase all of this. Okay, it's 137. Okay, +2 -2 +2. So what we're going to do now is, basically we're going to wait a second, what am I saying? Hang on a second, hang on. We're not going to continue until I get my math right. Okay, the final course is 327. The opposite side of 327 would be 147. Yes, thank you, thank you. 147 is the course. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, I'm going to assume that they've cleared me to descend back down to 4,000 feet. I'm always assuming. Okay, pull 4,000, thrust idle, open descent, 4,000 blue. I'm gonna go ahead and activate the approach phase again, and now I'm going to pull, and I'm gonna go right to a heading of 147 degrees. I do apologize about that little brain fart I had earlier. If they tell you pilots are good in math, don't believe them. Yeah, all right, so descending now down to 4,000, and I'm gonna sequence my flight plan so that the waypoint Romeo Kilo 808 is going to be the first one in line. So to sequence a flight plan, very simple. You take the direct 2, you find the Romeo Kilo 808, which is our final approach fix. Is it 808? Oh look, low battery. Hey, yep, 808, 808, and the radial inbound is going to be 147, which is the opposite of the final course, and insert. And as you can see now, we've got a nice straight line down the middle of the runway, and we're flying parallel to it. 147, gonna pull that, make sure that it stays in heading mode. And now I'm gonna start configuring this aircraft early. Okay, I've got 15 miles over there. Let's go for flaps 1. Sweet. Flaps 1 set. And now that I'm abeam, that point over there, I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna reach 4,000 by the time I get there. So I'm gonna go now direct to Romeo Kilo 808. It's gonna create an intercept for me. and I'm going to insert, and now the aircraft goes to nav, and we're going to turn and fly right towards it. All right, and the next thing would be to we've got now speeds good for flaps 2, so speed check, flaps 2. Nice. All right, 9 miles away from that waypoint over there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go selected, and I'm going to keep our speeds at just 180 for now until I get closer, so the aircraft doesn't slow down too much, because you know the last thing you want is your passengers to die of old age before they get to their destination. So yeah, we're going to keep speeds in selected 180 blue until we get to that point over there. Romeo Kilo 808. Okay, we got flaps 2. Now things are much more calmer. I'm actually even below the glide slope now, so I know I'm going to capture it for sure. So now that I'm inbound to the localizer and the glide slope properly, I'm going to put approach and the second autopilot, Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1+2, and lock and GS is in blue, ready to capture when we get there. Fantastic. All right, now 6.7 miles. Airport is just over there to our right. I see it right there. Gonna get my little old me in position to hand fly the aircraft. Gonna move the iPad out of the way as well, and I'm gonna store my tray table as well. Tray table stored. Everything's looking good. All right, we're just 2,000 feet above the ground level now, and it's going to be time to very quickly make a turn, join the localizer, join the glide slope, and bring her in for a landing. All right, we're 4 miles away from our final approach fix. Speaking of fix, I really need to fix that. I put the wrong thing in there. It's not 137, dummy, it's 147. There we go. Now look at that. It goes straight down the line. Again, I do apologize for my bad math. Okay, we are glide slope 1 bar above center, so this is the time we put the landing gear down, select flaps 3, arm the speed brakes, lights come on. Cabin crew, if you didn't sit down the last time I told you, now's a good time. Please be seated for landing. Thank you. All right, they're seated, and now that I'm getting closer to the final approach fix, manage my speed, let the aircraft start decelerating, gears out, tree green. All that's left is flaps full and then the landing checklist, which I guess now that I'm just 6.7 miles from touchdown, going for flaps full and the landing checklist, which is ECAM memo, landing no blue, landing no blue, landing checklist is completed. Glide slope, we've captured the glide slope. We're lock star. Okay, airport's coming into view nicely. Winds are 3, 4, 5 at 5 knots, so it looks like the wind speed has died down a bit, which is good. We've captured the glide slope, so now we go on the go around altitude 7,000 set. Lock, we've captured the localizer. We're inbound. Okay, second time around we're doing this right. When I say we, I'm not blaming all of you along with me for my mistakes. I mean, you know, all of us together have you get my point, right? Thank you. Cool. All right, lining up with the runway, which looks like it's been painted white from my perspective, but yeah, red sands, white runway. Riyadh is an amazing place. But yeah, let's just focus and take her in for a landing. I see the strobe lights of the runway coming into view. We're just coming up on 3,000 above sea level, 1,000 above ground level. I wonder if I want to...
1,000.
Okay, 1,000 it is. Let me see. I think now's a good time. So 1,000, we're stabilized, everything's been done. All that's left to do is land the aeroplane. So at minimums, I'm gonna disconnect and hand fly the aircraft down. I've got my hand on the side stick ready, I've got everything ready, feet on the pedals. I'm fully ready to take over and land the aircraft. Let's just let the autopilot take me that little extra step to line it up. 500 feet coming up above the ground.
500.
That runway really is white. Got some traffic on the roads there. 400. Land on the FMA.
300.
Okay, I'm just gonna disconnect right now.
100 above.
100 above for minimums, and autopilot is
200.
right off. Okay. Okay, just gonna very nicely. Minimums continue.
100.
Alright, as you reach 50 feet,
50.
gently bring the power back to idle.
30.
Flare to 5 degrees. And kiss the runway. Okay, a little bit of rudder just to point us back towards the center. Full reversers engaged. Spoilers, reversers green. Decel. There we go. Maintaining the center line as best we can. Alright, there's 60 knots. Idle reverse, and then full idle as we get close to taxi speeds. Disarming the auto brakes, and we're gonna take the next turn, which is that one over there, which I believe is as planned, Golf 5. Let's bring up that airport chart. Yes, Golf 5. Yay, everything's working out. Alright, this is going to be a very quick taxi, so squeeze in the brakes a little bit, let the aircraft's natural momentum, give a little bit of rudder, followed by a little bit of tiller, just to get us over there. By now we'll be contacting, from once we cross that line, we contact ground, get permission. Let's assume we got all that. And as the aircraft coasts off the runway, terrain radar off, and okay, let's clean up the aeroplane. Let's go. Pilot flying will go. We'll push this down, and the pilot monitoring will basically reset rudder trim, get the flaps going to 1. TCAS goes to standby. Standby. Weather radar goes off. Terrain radar goes off. Landing lights can go off. Nose light to taxi. Strobes are in auto anyways, and we start the APU. Alright, APU is coming online. Can turn off the flight directors and landing screens, and we're going straight, and then we'll park at number 21 as planned. And I can now do the after landing checklist. So after landing checklist will be radar, predictive wind shear off. It is done. So yeah, that's the checklist complete. Welcome to Riyadh, ladies and gentlemen. Temperature here is 35 degrees, winds from the north at about 15 miles an hour. All in all, it's a lovely day today. So here's 21. No, 21's the last one at the end. So I'm gonna take 21 at the very end. Okay, so if I had a proper model for the airport, 21 would probably be here. So we're just gonna turn, and I'll fix that in a bit. So our imaginary taxiway is right here. No worries. Lights go off as we turn towards the gate, and squeezing the brakes, bring the aircraft to a halt, and set the parking brakes on. APU is available, so APU bleed on, and we can now shut down engines. 1, 2. Both engines shut down, waiting for 10%. Bus transfer clicked over onto the APU. Alright, beacon off, seatbelt signs off, emergency lights disarmed, and fuel pumps off, cruise supply off. And now we can do the parking checklist. So parking brakes and chocks, they're gonna put it on right now. Parking brake is set, engines are off, wing lights are off, fuel pumps are off. That's the parking checklist complete. And that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. From here we're going to be continue on the Middle Eastern tour, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one. For now, thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video, and give it a like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share this video with your friends. And as always, please let us know your comments and your suggestions and comments in the box below. We'll be happy to hear from you. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.